I recently took a trip to Scotland to shoot more waters for Fly Fishing Simulator HD, starting with Edinburgh. The Water of Leith, right in the city of Edinburgh, actually has fly fishing right there. And these are some of the sites that now appear in the app. But after Edinburgh, it was hopping into a rental car and driving through the Highlands to try to visit as many rivers as possible, and also along the way, a few lochs. This is one of the sites on Loch Lomond that is now available in the app. The River Lochie in Glen Lochie was one of the first smaller streams that I shot for the app. Not every site that I shot ends up in the app. This one did after mapping the depth and the current. This one is also now available in the app. I noticed while shooting this river I seemed a little bit shaky, a little bit out of sorts. I thought maybe it was just jet lag, but okay, that'll explain it. Fortunately, down the road was the next Airbnb, a nice little cabin to get some good rest. Unfortunately, the cabin had bats flying around in it. Turned out there were 8 of them that came to life when it got dark. Fortunately, I had a foldable landing net and was able to catch these little guys and release them outside without hurting them. So the photo shoot continued. This is Loch Linney. The next day involved visiting a number of rivers, including this tiny little one. Although I see when I zoom in on my work later, again that shake was going on. Fortunately, the app allows me to select the areas that should not be moving and stabilize the video so that the rock is no longer moving, only the water. Then down the first single track road of the trip to the location where Skyfall, James Bond's home, was located in the movie Skyfall. This was a beautiful river and an unseasonably hot day for Scotland. It was over 80 degrees. But this is one of the waters not yet published that was shot on this trip. A few of the sites here. It wasn't just the rivers. I stopped to shoot some of the lochs as well. And carried on further into the Highlands. This little stream happened to have a railroad bridge over it that will be familiar to Harry Potter fans, having seen the Hogwarts Express cross this bridge in a very famous scene in one of the movies. The next area on the trip was the Isle of Skye, and this was the view from the Airbnb there, with rainbows looking out over the bay. The Isle of Skye involved a lot more single-track road driving, wearing a mask in the, as it turns out, unsuccessful attempt to avoid passing on COVID to the others traveling with me, although we might have all picked it up in the airport on the way there. There are a number of rivers on the Isle of Skye, many of them with the angling rights controlled by the Portree Angling Association, so I tried to visit as many of those streams in a single day as possible. And this was quite a pretty little stream. It should be showing up in Fly Fishing Simulator HD in the future. There were a lot of very windy single-track roads between the rivers on the Isle of Skye. The most famous fishing river on the Isle of Skye is the River Snizort. This is an upper stretch of that river. When I travel to shoot waters for the app, I don't always release them all right away when I get back. I'll typically release a few and save a few to release later just to keep things fresh, to mix up waters from different locations. So you'll see some more of these Scottish waters coming out, probably mixed in with some waters from the southern states from another recent photo shoot trip. This being Scotland, naturally there were some sheep and some cows, including the famous Highland cows that we happened to meet on the Isle of Skye. I did get a fishing license from the Portree Angling Association for one of the rivers they control, which is the Amar River. This is right near its mouth. Very small water at the time. A lot of the rivers in the Isle of Skye may run very low except when there's been a recent rain, and then more fish will move up. But there were some fish taking a swing at fly here, and I did end up catching a couple of beautiful brown trout. Although they weren't big, it was fun to get something in the net besides a bat. Of course, a trip through the Scottish Highlands is going to involve coming across some castles, like this one on the shores of Loch Ness. And I like to pop in the local shops, and sometimes I'll find something like this display of flies used in the region. Making our way south from Inverness back toward Edinburgh, this is the River Bran near the Hermitage, which provided some really neat scenery, and I talked to some local fishermen there. And on to the River Garry near the Soldier's Leap. All in all, despite catching COVID and meeting some bats, the trip really went pretty well. Then it's back on the road to head for Stirling for our last night in Scotland before our flight back, and whoops, there's another little complication, a blowout. Well, Fortunately, I had taken the optional road hazard coverage, and the car rental company was good enough to haul our vehicle first down to Stirling for the night, and then send another recovery hauler to bring our vehicle right down to the Edinburgh airport. So you'll be seeing more of these Scottish waters coming out in Fly Fishing Simulator HD over the coming months.